All right. Yes. We are back again for another one. A live open court discussion in the Counselor's Corner. I'm your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me as my co-host, the Big Bad Wolf, Herb Lewis.
Oh,
Well, believe it or not, we are in the month of June already. So tonight, June 2nd, we will be discussing the topic mid-year magic. Reflect, refocus, and recharge. As we reach the midpoint of the year, it's the perfect time to reflect on our progress goals and growth. Let's dive into the world of personal development and explore how we can make the most of the next 6 months. Here are a list of focus areas you may want to consider. Number one, goal progress. Number two, habits and routines. Number three, self care. Number four, relationships. Number five, personal growth. Number six, time management. Number seven, financial progress. And number eight, mindset and attitude. As you can see, we have a lot of work to do, and not a single individual should claim they are bored. If so, what they're saying is their life must be complete with everything being accomplished. Please like and share our video, and don't forget to tell a goal setter to tell another goal setter to please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. One of our goals has been to get to 1K subscribers, and we are 49 away from that goal. So let's go. People, it's time to cook. Here we are. Um, Again, Monday night, 9 p.m. No basketball on. So we might as well have at it. So people come in. Come in. Let us know your mid-year progress, because everybody should, evaluate and kind of see where they are. If you don't do that, then you're probably someone who doesn't really accomplish many goals. And So that's where we're at. A lot's been going on, a lot's been happening, but I'll let you take the mic, Herb. What's good?
we were just talking about earlier, and I don't want to preempt the show, but we were just talking earlier about me not having stressors, and part of this particular episode is going to look at a lot of the reasons why a lot of people do. No, I'm not saying I'm necessarily unique in that particular thing, but today I had a job interview for some of you who don't know, part-time job, assisting with young adults, things of that nature. I won't get into the specifics yet, but I went and checked the email just to make sure I was going to be on time because I thought it was at 2. It was at 1 o'clock. I said, "Oh, I got to finish saving and get to the location." Now the location is only about a half a mile from where I live, literally half a mile. I could walk there in 10 minutes. So got on the bike, got to the place, and then I realized after speaking with the staff there, I was in the wrong place. Now the other place is probably a quarter mile. So I bike bike back around, get up there, and the interview went well. But one of the questions I was asked during the interview, which I just alluded to, was about stressors, and I don't I don't want to sound ungrateful, but it's a difficult question for me to answer because I generally don't have the stressors that most people have. When you ask people, what are their top stressors, most people will tell you a girlfriend, boyfriend, relationship issues, children, or things of that nature. It doesn't exist in my life. Like honestly, doesn't. And I'm grateful for that, but I'm also mindful enough to realize I've set my life up for that. There's just a lot of things that I just refuse to be around and deal with. And people they don't see it. They say, "Why would you want to live like that?" And I say, "Who wouldn't want to live like that? Who wouldn't want to live a relatively stress-free life outside of having to worry about financial issues, which the average American is always going to have, unless you somehow manage to break free of the the rat race, there's always going to be some concern about finances. Do you have enough? Do you make enough? Do you need to make more? So those are always coming up. But other than that, my weight, that's it. That's it. I got, I got, I got to keep it as surface as I can when it comes to the way I live, so I don't get stressed out. Because what I've seen with a lot of people is when things get out of hand. In other words, they're worried about too much. The first thing they do is they start turning to smoking weed. Now, I'm not here to bash anybody that smokes weed. If you do, have at it. Another thing that they do is they start drinking. I'm not knocking anybody that does either one of those things. Have at it. But what happens is incrementally over the years and decades, people start to use just a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and somebody will say something, and he says, "Yo, I recognize a pattern in you lately. You've been drinking just a little bit more, been smoking a little bit more. Is everything okay?" I said, "No, man, I know I gotta need to make some more money. I need to do this. I need to do that." And those are legitimate concerns. The thing I always ask is, do you need to make more money, or do you need to cut back on things that you're spending money on? I don't know, but that's where I am. Nothing else other than that. It's steady as she goes. Still trying to find a PCP. No, I ain't trying to get a personal care doctor, personal care physician. For those of you who don't know the acronym, but that's it, man. I try to keep things simple at this neck of the woods.
Mm. Well, it's a lot. And part of the thing about stress, sometimes you have irritants, little things that irritate you. And I can see right now, so where I live at, it was I had one a neighbor who pretty much I've been staying where I'm staying. It's about maybe about let's say like 10 years, going on 11. And for all those years, I pretty much had same the same neighbors on my side, like on each side of me. So I kind of know what I was getting. They kind of quiet once in a while. The one young lady, she would have to rip her man and her son a new one, and she would go off. But most of the time, it was kind of quiet. And the house is where you barely hear anything, but that shit's about to come to an end. It's somebody else moved in there, and it was shit about 5, 6 women in there, 5, 6 guys coming through just as loud as hell. And I said, this just gonna be one damn loud party. Um, no parking spots. People always in front of
Oh,
the house, which is gonna draw other people. So just don't just don't like that. I just like it like peace. I don't like to see all different random people all around. It just so that's aggravating.
yeah,
It's aggravating, and I could just tell, and I would think that when you're a certain age, even though you're moving and stuff like that, you might make some noise. It's just the loud voices and carrying on, and when you don't know the lay of the law, a lay of the land, you could be living next to somebody that's 75, 80 that goes to bed
yeah.
early. You don't know. You just moved in, but you're coming in just loud as fuck. Yeah, I just already know how it's going. I can already know when I pull up, get off work or whatever the case is, what I'm gonna have to be faced with, like a freaking barbecue every day, probably.
And then people wonder
Uh,
why I like winter, because a lot of that stuff in the winter get put to an end. You don't see it, you don't hear it. Even though my neighbors have moved out and I'm booking it by Airbnbs, usually when they're making noise, I'm at work, so I'm unbothered by it. But my neighbors were, were telling me certain things, and then I get contacted by code development because or code enforcement. I'm sorry, because they're responsible for green lighting whether the Airbnbs can be placed in a residential neighborhood because there's only supposed to be so many per the block per the block layout. So I mean, and I hate because ultimately what affects the neighborhood affects me. So if it bothers my neighbors, even though I may not be bothered personally, it bothers me. And that was one of the things I said to the board when we were assembled. I said, yes, I'm gone when they're when they're up at night party when the sun goes down, 8:30, 9 o'clock in the summer, because that's when the Airbnbs are heavily inhabited. If they're out there partying and some might be out there smoking weed, cigarettes, I don't see it. I'm not even party to it. I don't hear anything about it unless something really weird happens, which did the one time I was out of town and the neighbor showed me, you know, they're parking van buses on my lawn. I said, it's a good thing I wasn't here because shit would have hit the fan. I I know me. You can't fuck around on my land. Even if my grass is overgrown like it is now, it's mine. I'll cut it when I get ready. I don't want to hear about it unless you're gonna cut it for free, and then you gotta cut it to my specifics. You ain't gonna do that. You ain't gonna want to hear my mouth. So just ease on down the road, like Mike was saying in the odds. But that's always a concern. Quality of life for a lot of people. And it's unfortunate that a lot of people don't concern themselves with how they might disrupt a new a new community that they're part of. They don't want to weave themselves into the fabric. It's like they want to become the fabric. And if nothing ain't popping, well, we gonna get this place popping. Like you said, what if you live amongst some retirees who don't want to hear all that nonsense, who just want to come home, sit on their porch, drink some lemonade, listen to a ball game, or read a paper or magazine? Make them what they want. Don't come be a disruptor to the neighborhood because eventually the neighborhood's gonna run your ass off. They're gonna make it untenable. You like you nosy mother so and so's and you know what they're gonna say. You know what? You're right. You came to this neighborhood. You didn't know. We don't like you. We don't want you here. We're gonna make your existence miserable, and they can do that, people, because if they get enough calls and the landlord's got to get involved, the landlord's gonna say, "Hey, look, y'all got to do something because I can continually have this." So, just be wise, people. If you're one of those rebel rousers, make sure you go into a place where that shit already exists. So it's just another voice in a mosaic of voices. Don't be the one that want to stand out just because you want to be an asshole.
Yeah. What else? What else is going on? Oh, it's officially 10 days left of school, so it's just
I was gonna say,
chaos
yeah,
on
y'all
top
already
of
the end of
chaos
that.
on chaos. So just you know, and it's that time of year that kids cut up. You just say have an early vacation, uh, but it's definitely um, a lot of things been going on, and I'm not going. I'm not going to speak on a particular incident that happened at our school. It's a very violent act. Uh,
Ooh,
um, that well, that a young lady, one of our students, kind of got stabbed in the leg. So after an altercation, but then also, and this wasn't at my school, but I'm like, what are some of y'all people thinking? It's some gym teacher that works in our school district and 61 years old. I guess he has some sexual assault charges. And but one of the things which was very disturbing, I guess he was in the girls' locker room or dress room, half naked, playing with
ooh,
themselves. So of course, the young girls was traumatized. Some of them didn't want to go to school, and I'm like, dude, fucking 61, man, you 61. This is how you want to go out. Now, granted, he could have been doing
yeah.
that all. He could have been doing that all along, but I tend to believe that something like that just does, especially if you're getting that comfortable. I can't believe he went that deep before. Uh, so I don't know the nature. I don't know him. I don't think I ever seen him before around. But this is the way you want to go out at 61, and you damn near retirement. This is what you want to do. Be in jail. Uh, and I don't know. And I never looked into it, but I wonder how that works. Whatever. If you end up getting terminated from your job, and you might know her like far as pension or whatever, like how does that uh
Um,
impact that?
I don't think he would. I don't think. Well, actually, it would. I would imagine that it would. First things first, they would have to go through. I'm sure he's part of a union. If not, um, he's going to be fired, charged. Um, if he has any income coming in the form of a pension, I don't believe they will be eligible to touch the pension because that's something he earned unless they can show some type of due cause or it's written somewhere that he would forfeit his pension if he was charged with some type of sex crime against a student or a minor. But I think that would be safe. But he's also at the point in his life where he will qualify for Social Security. Um, if he's a first time offender, and people don't quote me on this. Okay, I'm not a legal expert. I'm just talking about what I think might happen. Just before anybody read catches the rebroadcast and say I'm all wrong, I could be. Um, I believe he would be entitled to Social Security. If he's a first time offender, of course he'd be on the registry, sex offender registry, and have to go through all of that stuff. But I'm thinking at his age, and I think this is part of what you're alluding to, is why? What would prompt you to do something like this? It makes absolutely no sense. Um, Short of that, um, I know he would be. Well, a lot would depend on the criminal case. Um, whether he would, whether he be listed as a level one, two, or three, whether he would be sent to rehab or. Uh, but in terms of ever working with kids again, oh, you forget that. He'll never be around kids again. Um, yeah, I just and the terrible thing about it that very few people really even discuss is the I don't want to say shame, the fallout that comes to his family. So family gatherings, if he has any kids, he can forget ever seeing his grandkids again. And I think that's where, yeah, and I think that's where um the family is destroyed. And really, is it a single act by a man, other than maybe um, depriving one of his offspring of their lives? Really, is there an act that a man can do that just really just destroys the bond that can be created between the grandparents and the grandchildren before they're even born? So let's say at 61 he has three children, roughly in ages from 40 to 25. That family bond is done. And we know how ruthless kids can be. And if these, some of the great grandchildren, I'm sorry, some of the grandchildren are in high school or college, or they're around the people who like to take clock shots. I mean, there's probably no end to the kind of humility they're going to be subject to, and I I just don't know. When we talked about proclivities about a month ago, there's some things that I might even consider in terms of sexuality that I wouldn't even tell a goddamn soul, and they're nowhere near that. I couldn't imagine doing some shit like that. I just I couldn't imagine doing something like that in front of somebody I'm sexually active with. I can't. I can't even I can't imagine what would prompt me to or prompt anyone to do something like this. Like, dude, yo, that's you wanna stay home and run around the house, dude, and prance and all of that. Knock yourself out. But the moment you come out in public and start doing that, I'm just thinking, yeah, you need to speak to somebody. Respectfully.
Yeah, that's wild. Also, shout out to my daughter Mackenzie. You know me, I don't never really. I always said I never connected my children with social media and stuff, but they're a little older, but she will be attending North Carolina State University. She'll be a Wolf Pack. So big shout out to that. So hopefully I'll be able to catch some good North Carolina State Duke and North Carolina State against UNC games. And so, some of when we talk about goals, some goals will have to change because I'll have to be making, like one of my coworkers say, like, man, you're gonna be going to Niagara Falls, then you're gonna be shooting at the Carolinas, like you're gonna be all over the place. And
I would say enroll in frequent mileage programs or whatever you can through any hotel or rental car agency, man, or whatever you need to capitalize on that.
well, the good thing is it's in Raleigh, North Carolina, which is only 4.5 hours, which
Right.
isn't that bad of a drive. And I know a lot of people once they hit a certain, over 50, they say, "Oh, I only can do 4 hours. I only can do three, 2 hours, and all that stuff." I still got a little in me. With 4.5 hours, I look at it like if you want to, I want to get on the road at 8. I could be there like around 1 o'clock and hang out a little bit, grab a hotel
Yep.
room, chill for the night, and then head back, and it won't be that much
Right.
damage or wear and tear. It wouldn't be that bad, but she put in the work, was ranked number 2 in her class, salutatory, and she also was humble and grateful because she didn't want to do the speech. She was like she wanted to be a part of the student body, like to sit there. She didn't want to be on the
Yeah.
stage and all
Yeah.
that. She said if this is her last time. So I guess this one guy who was number 3 was always he was dying to be number 2. He was pressed to get it, and then she ended up saying, "Hey, have at it. You can have it. You can do the speech and get up there and hey, she did it her way. So, and she's going to be going to school for animal science. So, she's going to be the next great veterinarian, and I'm super proud of her. And hey, sky's the limit. Whatever, just gotta keep pushing forward. And she has lots of family support, so everything's going to be good, all good.
And you know what? There's a hidden gem in what you said. Now, I don't think a lot of people, and when we've talked about this at length, is keeping your children out of a your business as an adult or a father and out of the public eye because it doesn't allow them to be unnecessarily scrutinized. And you got people that want to put the kids out there, put the kids out there, put the kids out there, and then when something goes wrong and people start commenting, well, they're just a kid. Well, damn, you parade them around like you know, they're the best thing that's ever happened to the world. And we always tell people, hey, look, there's some things that people don't need to know about. I've known David for years, never knew his daughter's name. And you know what? It wasn't my business. It wasn't important to what we do here. And I want people to take this to heart. Stop. And I mean all sincerity, stop putting your kids on your social media. Okay? First day of school, kindergarten, good grades, drama club. Let them be a kid. Let them remain anonymous to the world until they have National Signing Day, until you're in David's situation where they got their letter of commitment. Nobody needs to know who you fucking, unless you're married. Nobody needs to know how many kids you got, who their mother is, who their father is, unless they're active in their lives. Keep that mess off of social media. You people wonder why I talk about NDAs. NDAs serve a multitude of purposes. They keep your stress level down. So when people start asking about your day, and you're gonna get some coworkers that's gonna ask about whether you're married or not. Ask them, what does it matter to you? And be frank about it. And if they say nothing, I was just drumming a small talk. Do you know what to do? Switch the small talk to something that makes them uncomfortable. Guess what? I guarantee you they'll shut down.
I always quote the
No,
great
I'm
Dr.
just I'm
Pappalardo. He always said, you ask a question, you better be going somewhere with it. One of the quickest questions say, what are you going to do with that information? What are you going to do with it?
yeah.
Like, just don't be asking. I don't really do small talk because my talk is kind of small anyway with certain people. So a lot of people at work didn't know anything. They might have seen it on social media, like, wow, he never really spoke. Because it ain't y'all concern. It ain't y'all concern. I don't care to know about y'all kids, and you don't need to know about mine, whatever, because sometimes people just be looking for something to talk about. And
Hmm.
I'm not going to give you that, especially at a young age. And we live. I didn't seen a couple battles where people adults went at it. Then they went and pulled family pictures, pictures of children. Oh, this. Oh, you're talking about weight, whatever. About women weighing this much, whatever. Oh, look at your mother. Oh, isn't this a
Yeah.
picture of your daughter? And pulled up stuff like that.
And then, yeah, and
Ill-advised,
then people
not
wonder why
caution.
those little battles start. Those little Facebook skirmishes that all of a sudden now you hear in the news that this started over a Facebook post, and now you got some real life repercussions. Somebody that got shanked, somebody that got shot, somebody got set up, somebody got beat up. Half of the stuff that a lot of people get in would be mitigated if they just really kept a low profile. Well, I might be kind of partial to seeing, just a little bit of flesh. Because I don't get to see it on my own anymore. Kind of recluse. So if they wanna titillate the piano keys, that's okay. I'm okay with that, Doc. But but you know what? Let's get to. I'm glad you posted that, man. Shout out to Star. Star been on the road lately. We got to get on her. Star been killing them with her posts, and a lot of the stuff she was talking about. We were talking about black culture and the unnecessary exposure of women and their sexuality to the world. And I made a comment. I said 40, 50 years ago, it wasn't like that. You had a woman that would come out fully dressed, and we saw how attractive she is. She exuded sexuality. Matter of fact, and I know I'm gonna catch some flack for this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I across a movie this morning, and shout out to Mario Van Peebles. He does some phenomenal work. He's a phenomenal actor. He's a phenomenal director. And I caught the movie Panther, not Black Panther, people. Panther. And it was based on the Black Panther party, the Black Panther party out in Oakland, California. And there's a young brother riding through on his bike. He guess he was on the way to school in the morning because it looked like they streamed a couple things together. And there's a young 30 years old, really nice looking sister, fully dressed, had on a sleeveless white shirt, neckerchief, if you will, or scarf, glasses, hat. Bus came by, down to her knees. Bus came by, blew the skirt up, and you saw her underwear, garter belts, and everything. And his eyes just lit up. She's like, "Boy, everything down to 30 years old, but this hat is brand new." And it was funny to me because she said, "Get on before I tell your mother." And she said, "Little cute self." We don't see women like that in the community anymore. And this is something that Kevin Samuels touched on too. He had a brother do an experiment where he dressed up, shirt, tie, shoes, caught the bus, and people treated him accordingly. But he was uncomfortable. The next week he dressed up in more urban streetwear, pardon me, and didn't receive the same treatment, and he couldn't figure out why. And a lot of us brothers need to take that to heart. No, I'm not saying you have to go revamp your wardrobe. I'm not saying you have to go out and get slacks, button-up shirts, cufflinks, ties, ascots. I'm not saying you have to do any of that. I'm saying do what you do. But when you don't get breaks that you think you've earned, ask yourselves why. Because there are times when I just got stuff just for being. And I'll say, did I earn that? Most likely not. Did I deserve it? Hell yeah. Reason why? Because I put in that work. I put in that work somewhere else down the road. So when I speak, I sound intelligent. When I walk with a purpose. When I talk, I actually know what I'm speaking about. You got too many hot-head cats that run around here spewing this, spewing that, and the conversation is usually geared to one or two things: sports and females. You ask them about politics. Oh man, voting don't matter. Okay. You ask them about something related to science. Oh man, I don't get into that. You ask them something about history. Oh, history don't matter. Well, damn. How do you go out on a date and you have a conversation with the female, and all you think, and the only thing you know about is sports and sex? And I'll give it up to the ladies. I understand why y'all get bored with some of these cats. They don't know anything, whether they have a degree or not, whether they're quote unquote educated or not. They can't carry a conversation. So there's nothing left for you to be intrigued by. Now, I'll be the first to say it. I'm not very well read. I haven't sat down and read a book probably in about 15, 20 years. Yeah, I have a library. I have a boatload of books here, and I've talked about it often, going out buying a book every year to to the point I can exhaust the list that I have from Black Gnostic Speaks. But that's going to be impossible because every time I'm listening to his podcast, he comes out with a different book, as well as I listen to other podcast creators and they talk about other books. So I got a list of a book about 60 long that for me is going to be inexhaustible. But when I build my library, they'll be up there, and I can always read those books. As long as I have those books, I'll be able to read them. The content might get old, it might get dated, but it's always there, and it's always reference material. And I wish people understood that. You know, years ago, and I'm gonna talk to my boy next time I see him. I talked about getting an unabridged dictionary and just put it on my stool and calling that the book of knowledge. Because I've always prided myself in being able to take a word, just a single word, and write it. Starting there and just writing about the word. But that's just me.
All right. So again, to kind of jump into the show topic, we already know time flies by, especially when you get older. Can't believe it's
Mm-hmm.
June already. Shit, my birthday is coming up on Sunday. Be the double
That's
nickel.
it.
Like times is just
Ah,
going by too fast, too fast. And it was funny. I always, sometimes my students they like to just come in there and hang out and talk crap, give me a hard time. And one of my, I forgot what she said, but she said, "Well, Mr. Glover, ain't I said something about my birthday or something, and she's like, man, you're gonna be like 65. I said, I'm not gonna be no damn 65. And she said, did you just say damn? And then I said, yeah, that's not a bad word. And then she was like, well, um, she was like, well, okay, I forgot your age, whatever. Then she was like, I don't even remember. She just talked so much crap, but I really enjoy her, and it's funny because they're always trying to jockey who's my favorite student and all that. And each, the ones that my favorite, they all have a different special component that I like. She's like my like like my like my security. Like nobody can talk crap to me or whatever the case is. And she's one of my soldiers. So uh, I did a No Friday Foolish message the other week. I said sometimes I just like being petty. I just like being petty. Yeah, even with kids. If you gonna talk shit to me, I'm gonna tell you, I got soldiers for you. I got soldiers. So it's like a life lesson that I teach them that probably is not traditional, but I know it works. So I don't know if I spoke on this before, but during testing, I had a couple guys, little goofy dudes, whatever, talking crap, and trying to get them quiet, get through the test, and they just talking, get, oh, Mr. Glover, we can't pull out our phone. Just talk like, yo, listen, like, just put your stuff away, be quiet, and take the test. Then I said, but it's okay. They was talking crap. I said, I'll handle it. I said 105. He's like, what are you talking about 105? I said 105 when we all go to the lunchroom. I said, I'm gonna have to get my soldiers gonna come through. Pull up on your ass. Well, you ain't got no soldiers. You ain't got no soldiers. I said, okay. And so sure enough, actually one of the main ones, he actually came through. Like we were all pretty much done with our test, so we were just waiting around. And his girlfriend was happened to be in the room, so he happened to just come in there because he knew where she was at. Then I'm like, oh, like what's up? I ain't gonna say his name. What's up, MJ? He's like, what's going on? I said, I got some light work for you to handle. And then
Ah, that's it.
oh, because what's his nickname for me? What do you call me? I can't even think of it now. Uh, it'll come to me. Something with Glover, and it whatever. He said, "Oh, you need me to handle something?" And then they like them boys was like it was a couple. They like, oh man, like I ain't know Glover, not him, not him. And then they was like, man, then the next day like Mr. Glover got goons. He got goons. And I was thinking that was just only one of them, but I think there's actually a couple of them came in. So every now and then I have to, even like some of the girls that talk crap. I said, listen, all I'm gonna have to do is call one person. I said one word. Then when I say they name, they were like, all right, Mr. Glover, all right, whatever, I'm Mr. Glover, all right, because they know. And that particular student said, you about 65. She like one of my, she got my back because one time some girl was getting smart with me. And she was like, who she talking to? She didn't say probably who she talking to. She probably said, who the hell she talking to? And I was like, nah, she good here. So she was like, nah, because I stepped to her. Like nobody should be disrespect. But I didn't look at it like that because I know that. I mean, actually, the girl said it. She says her stuff, but she's kind of off. She cuss. She'll cuss out anybody pretty much, but she did realize that my soldier, she had actually said, she's like, oh, Mr. Glover, I'm sorry for disrespecting you, whatever. I don't, don't want no parts of her, whatever. And my little soldier, she ain't, but she's a little small fry, but she like real
Mm-hmm.
feisty.
Mm-hmm.
So in those cases, that's why I say I'm petty. I would never let lead to it get into a fight because certainly I know the individuals that I'm dealing with, and I know if I throw
Yeah.
out a name that they're gonna kind of back off and they're gonna take a different stance. And during testing, I wanted them boys to fall in line, and
That's all. Yeah.
certainly they kind of took a step back when they realized, like, damn, he really do got kids that got his back that he can
You know the
call on.
funny thing about that is though, it's like the office joke that goes around, and an individual could be the comedic target of it, and they just start bothering you, and you just kind of merely hint to it, and they leave you alone. That's
Hmm.
all it is. I think a lot of people don't understand the value in being petty, and people will say, "But why would you want to? Why would you want to be petty towards somebody who is bothering you? Just tell them, hey, leave me alone." Because some people don't understand English. Some people don't understand English, so you gotta speak their language, and sometimes in order to bully the bully, you say, "Hey, look, I know about your little secret. You know, I know what you did last summer. I know how you got down. Do you really want to go there?" And they look at you, and they're not gonna test you on it because they don't want you to confirm what it is that you think you know. They
Hmm.
say, "No, what do you know? I spoke to your peoples. You don't know my peoples. All right, I can always call them. I can always show you Facebook friends. I know your peoples before you knew your peoples. So you wanna test me? You wanna test my gangstering, or you just wanna leave me alone? All right, man. Yeah, it's whatever. Yeah, whatever. But they can leave you alone. That's the value in being petty. And a lot of people, they because they may not have grown up in that kind of environment, they don't think it's necessary. And I'm just like, look, Michael Jordan was petty. Why do you think people leave alone? And aside from the one incident with him and Kerr, Mike has never recorded putting his hands on anybody. LeBron, quite the opposite. LeBron's not petty. LeBron won't go out and drop 55 because you said something about his game or his hairline. Mike gonna drop 60 on you because Mike petty, and maybe that's probably why people like MJ more than they do LJ. I'm sorry, LB. And sometimes you gotta put petty in your game just to let people know, hey, look, if you get too close, it's like when we used to play basketball. If you get too close, I'm gonna hit you with one of these elbows. You get too
Yeah.
close.
And one of the things, and one of my boys who worked there, he always told kids, he's like, listen, me and Glove, we snap back. Like y'all can crack jokes on most teachers, and they don't have no comeback because that's not where they grew up,
Right.
or where they from. He's like, yo, bro, he's from like Brooklyn or somewhere in New York City. But
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
and he's like, we snap back. So this one young lady always, well, young girl always checking me out. Mr. Glover, what she called me best friend. She's like, you wear the same stuff over and over. I said, yeah, I said, get the hell out, same stuff. Then she's like, well, what I mean by that is you wear like your khakis or different khakis, your checker shirts. Then you have some random like sneakers on, and and then I like looked her up and down. I said, you might want to end this conversation. You might want to stop because I will hurt your. I don't want to hurt your feelings. I don't want to hurt your feelings. And then
Yeah.
I said, speaking of random sneakers, yeah, I said, I guess because I got, so many different pairs, that I
Yeah.
just, pull them out. I
Oh
said, what you
yeah.
working with? What you working with? Like two, three? And I know I should be like that. But uh, again, I'm going to quote Dr. Pepper Lotto. Said, sometimes you got to hit people in the head to make them understand.
Yeah.
Like you can't come flip at your lip with everybody. You can't do that.
Yeah.
So I'm teaching you a life lesson. Like, know KYP, know your personnel, know who you talking to, whether you may just be joking or not. But sometimes you got to consider because I'm gonna just I'm gonna tread lightly with you. I'm only gonna hit you a little bit, but if some people gonna go in like
Yeah. Oh,
hardcore. And there's gonna be some teachers that go in and say stuff that a lot of times they shouldn't say. I might say this, but I'm not go that far, and I'm not going to try to embarrass a kid in front of a bunch of kids. It might just be a one-on-one conversation. That's why I told you, you might want to step away because I might hurt your feelings. Because that's not. I said I'm not built like that. You're just not gonna just be cracking on me. I'm just not. I'm not. I'm not built
it
like that. I'm
coming.
sorry, whatever. I don't do the turn the left cheek. If your ass know how to talk, you can get it.
It ain't
If
coming.
that
Because
ain't petty.
it's funny, man. What's it, let's get to the first topic.
First one is goal progress, whatever. Like accomplishing goals. What did you set yourself out to do this year? I know every time people make New Year's resolutions, and I know, lose weight, want to do this, want to do that, save more money, and all that. But do you ever have like a quarterly thing or a 6 month, semi-annual thing to say, damn, where am I at? Where am I at with this progress? Because again,
I'm looking at a list. That's all. I have a list every
yeah,
like last year, beginning of 2024. I periodically write down things that I need to do, like my front porch roof needs to be fixed. Now I can add to that list all the things that I need to do with my home. Now I'm looking at a total of probably about $20,000 worth of home repairs. So those are long-term goals that I have specifically for my home. Shorter-term health goals I have losing weight, and I was doing well last year till the winter hit. Now the weather's been so terrible here that it's really. kind of compromising that. But those are still um, some other goals. The other one, of course, and Dave's gonna say something as soon as I mention it, so I'm already prepared for it. The book.
Because you know what? You know what? You know what? Secretly, that shit snuck up on you. Because last time it was
Yeah,
July, you were supposed to be done, and that just shows you
right.
how fucking time flies by. Because
Yeah,
now we're
yeah,
it's almost approaching a damn year, and I'm like,
yeah,
damn,
yeah,
that shit went by that fast, like a blink of an
yeah,
eye. So it's not
yeah,
nothing to play with time. Time don't
yeah.
stand still, and
Because,
that's for all of
and
us.
my problem is I like to pick up projects along the way. So when I
You,
had
you
earmarked
gotta
time
be
to
like
set
Russell
aside
Simmons.
an
Got it like
acting
Russell
project,
Simmons said. Be
yeah,
single-minded, focused at times.
yeah. So, but I like acting, and it was an opportunity to do live theater, and it was I can't remember what the term is. Work we workshopped the theater, and it was based on the Cataract House. And for those of you who don't know the history of the Cataract House in Niagara Falls, New York, going back to the turn of the 20th century, it was a place where people would come in with slaves and they would help them escape via the Underground Railroad to Canada. So when you hear the term the Cataract House in conjunction with Niagara Falls, New York, please keep in mind that aspect of history. So I jumped at the opportunity to do that. Now, rehearsal was probably about a month and a half, maybe 2 months long. I'd squeeze it in there in conjunction with going to work. And I don't, and I'm starting to learn this about myself. I work very well under pressure. Some certain deadlines and things. As tight as I am, I make sure those things are met. And we had a phenomenal crew. And for the sensitivity of the topic, we, and this is just my own opinion, we did well. And it was received on both sides of the board. We ran it one night here at the old Niagara Falls High School, and then we ran it somewhere in Niagara Falls, Ontario. Well received on both sides. And yes, I did make a little point there, so yes, I'm a paid actor. But I'm always going to put aside time to do live theater. It's a passion of mine. Acting is a passion of mine. I just think it allows me to tap into a hidden aspect of myself. So I don't necessarily have to. Stupid as this is gonna sound. I don't necessarily have to be Herbert L. Lewis my entire life. I can be someone else different. I can do something different. I can say something different. I can behave different. Because being a black man in this country or in the world, but let alone in this country, you're kind of typecast as to how people see you. And until you speak to them or until you interact with them, that's all they see you as. They see you as an athlete, an entertainer, and I can't remember what the other thing was. The brother Muhammad said, they don't see you as somebody who's literate. Take Dr. Dunbar. I'm sure he can verify this. They don't take you as someone who's a literate, articulate, educated. You can function on many different facets. You can do a lot of different things. You're multi versatile, and when they do, it's a shock to them because I've had conversations with some of the guests at the hotel, and the first thing that they've asked me, and this is just not at the hotel, this is a lot of different places. They say, "Why are you here? And why are you not teaching?" And when I hear compliments like that, it feeds my ego. Not because I'm an egomaniac, it's because there's somebody else out there who actually sees value beyond me as just a black person. They see something that I can add to the fabric of the community or enhance some student's life. And that's, David, I'm sure David will tell you, when he gets students that come back and say, "Hey man, that day you said this, or when you said this, or when you always say, hey, this, and this," that helped me. And the few years I was with the mentoring program, I would get people, parents, say, "Oh, I remember you," and I have no idea who they are. That's a, excuse me, you were coaching my son, you were doing this, you were doing that. It's a great feeling for me because I believe the greatest calling that any man can have is to help. I I'm going to stake my life on that. I'm going to always build with that. I'm going to always try and do what I can to help somebody move along in life. But that's just my thing. But goals, yeah, short term goals, long term goals. I would encourage anyone, um, regardless of your age,
Well,
find out what your passion is. But then,
one of the things they try to use, you have these catchy words or phrases in school. They try to say, call them SMART goals, goals that are
mhm,
specific, and we talked about this before. Something measurable, something that you know that you can kind of measure, uh, and you can check your progress, as if what this show is about, looking at what's going on at the mid-year point, something attainable. It has to be something that you know that you can get. Like, sometimes when we go over this with students and they say, um, well, they're a straight E student and we use E's instead of F's. So pretty much, and they say, well, I'm going to get straight A's next quarter. And you want to say, goddamn well that shit ain't gonna happen. Maybe you could say D's or C's or whatever the case is, or maybe the reason why you don't have good grades is because of your attendance. So you
yeah,
could say, I'm gonna come to school um, more often. I'm only gonna try to miss school. So those type of goals are attainable. But to think you're gonna go for straight F's or E's to all A's, nah, it's probably not gonna happen. Not saying they can, because some students they probably could do it. They just don't come to school, just don't show up. But it has to be something attainable, and it has to be the R in that relevant, something relevant to you. It has to be a goal
mhm,
that you passionate about accomplishing. That you get mad when you not on progress, but you're like, damn, I didn't do that today. Like when you're going through the weight loss journey and get on the scale, you weigh in and like, damn, I'm down 2 pounds. Then
right.
I'm down 5 pounds. But then
Mhm.
something happens and you can't do anything that following week. You might get sick or whatever the case is, or you might go out of town and it's, buffet of food, all different type of food around and you gain weight.
Sip and
When
dip.
you get back, yeah, sip and dip. Anytime I go to Niagara Falls and my sister there can guarantee when I get on the scale, I'm like, God damn it, got me again. But you may get angry about it, like, damn, I fucked up, I messed up. So it has to be something relevant and passionate. And then the T is time management, something you could do in a certain amount of time. Um, and some goals are meant to be long term goals, but some goals you could make, can make them shorter. It may be a long term goal, but it could be you could break it down in increments and say, by this point, I want to do this. Like if you're saving money, you might say, I want to have this amount saved by March. Then by June, I would like to have this. And you might fall short, but then you may say, hey, I'm going to have to step my game up to get back on track. And that's how I looked at it as far as like writing a book. I broke it into like trimesters, like it was my baby. So I had to break it down 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and some days may fall short, but I tried to maintain that schedule to make sure that I got it done. Now I got a lot of more. I got buyers for books. I probably could have like 3 or 4 more books out. I just one, it costs money, and then it costs time, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna get to I'm gonna put, because the last time I put something out was 2019, and that was like right, during that COVID time, when my No Friday Foolishness came out. Well, by now I usually have a No Fridays Foolish statement every Friday, shit, by now I probably would be on volume 4 or 5, because
Yeah,
I've been putting it out pretty much faithfully. So you got to set yourself up for opportunities. So I know that when all said and done, I got materials to kind of follow along with my brand and my theme that I can always put that out. Uh, and where I said the weight and health thing is an ongoing quest. Being consistent throughout the year with dieting and exercise is a challenge, especially when the holiday season comes. Yeah. And happy early birthday, C2. I'll text you to see what you have planned. All right, brother. Appreciate that. Yeah. So, yeah, that holiday season is a killer. And sometimes you just
Thanksgiving
know,
is always my nightmare.
you
My
just
sister in
know,
law be
like,
making me deviled eggs, and I can't pull away from the table, man. It's like trying to escape the sun's gravitational pull. I'm just like,
yeah, that's the same thing my sister said when that sip and dip. Like, we can't keep him out the damn cafeteria. How many lunches he gonna have?
man. And you know what? Now with my blood pressure being what it is, Doritos. It's funny. I remember this is last year, and I was trying to. I was what I wanted to achieve. I achieved in part. Some people took it to heart. I said I had winning the tops, and I had concocted the story about little Debbie and her people being bullies, and they wouldn't let me mind my business. I was trying to get away from them, so I went and told the manager. The manager said, "Well, there's nothing we can do. They have a right to be here." I said, "Yeah, but they keep bothering me every time I go by. They keep making faces, talking trash, calling me fat. They won't leave me alone." And the people, I gotta track this shit down back. But it was funny as hell because I was intended for it to be funny. It was kind of a lighthearted way of saying, "Hey, look, you need to leave them alone, man. They gonna keep bullying you until you give in." And people that read it just said, "Well, why would they do anything? They bothering you." I said, "Yeah, but they have the right to." And it was just hilarious. So I've always had a sweet tooth. Going back to when I was in high school, and it reminds me, there was a store, Miss Cavers, and for those of you who know Miss Cavers, you know who Miss Cavers is or the store. And this was back when penny candy was literally penny candy, no tax. I was going there with a little small paper bag, 100 pieces. Get to the bus stop, people would ask me, "No, man, you stingy?" I said, "I ain't stingy." I said, you went out there when I was hustling bottles of cans to get the money to get the candy. Man, we had what was it, the jelly dollars, the sweetest small sweetest fish, the get a box of Mike and Ike's, the now and laters, the Charlie
Yeah.
Chans, the Chico sticks, the
You
squirrel
do
nuts.
know, you do know that those days cost a lot of us dental issues, uh, because not that it was his fault, but the kids, we just didn't go to the dentist
Yeah,
like now how kids are formed, because now I see like every other day, like, oh, these kids got braces and all this shit. Before it used to
yeah.
cost a little grip to get that done, but with technology and different things now, is more advanced. And you know, of course, that our our generation is probably making more money than our parents'
Oh yeah,
generation, and
definitely.
they were working 1, 2 jobs. Not saying that we don't do that, but that penny candy thing was, it was crazy, man. Like I used to have fucking like I had hips because I would have so many packs of now and laters and shit in one pocket, then another set in another pocket, and it just a lot of damn candy, whatever. Just yeah. Cherry
And you know,
balls, like you said, Boston baked beans, lemon heads, all this
oh,
shit.
and you want to know what the really ironic thing about that is, even though we consume boatloads of candy, we were never overweight. And it's funny. I was watching a clip of young girls doing double dutch, and I said, if you mention double dutch today around a group of um, 8 to 15-year-old girls, they would have no idea what you're talking about. None. I remember we used to have the Black Experience down at the convention center or across town in the field. None of that. And people wonder why these kids, because that was one of the things that was discussed during my job interview, was the increase in violence among that age demographic. Because they're not doing anything, they don't have anybody to teach them anything, or they don't have anything to teach anyone coming behind them. Basketball teams. There was Benny League, man, from the boys' club, from like 9 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Basketball. Everybody that was anybody showed up at the club, showed up at 17th Street. That was always a goal. Well, we gonna beat high school this year. We gonna beat Trot this year. We gonna beat LaSalle this year. We ain't losing them no more. So that's what you spent your summer doing. You spent your summer working on your handle, working on your free throw, working on whatever it is that you had to work on, whether it was football or basketball, being that those were the biggest two sports. And that's what we did. It was, we were all cool. Where you going? I'm going across town to the community center, the center court to play basketball. Why you going over there? Because that's the only place that people are running for. So those were the things that we had that drove us at their age. They don't have that now. So, I mean, you got people that put things together, but it's sporadic. And it always seems to be ruined by the adults that can't get their shit right. And that in and of itself is a goal, staying away from trouble, staying away from people who do nothing but get in trouble. And I know for some places that's easier said than done. Me, anytime I hear somebody talking nonsense to me about as a situation that happened outside of working on parking lot that I won't get into, but suffice it to say, the female was talking about because I just want them to leave because they were going to make noise to disturb the guest house. I just want you to leave. I could care less about what the issue is about. Her mother comes up, and I guess the girl was like 16, 17, 18, whatever the case was. She said, well, I'll go get a father. He's only 5 minutes away. And I'm thinking, oh, yeah, you one of those types. I'm like, all right, just make sure he come out because I'm not taking no else. I didn't get to be this old by letting some random person run up on me and put their hands on me. It's funny to me how people do that, especially when people are of one ethnicity and they get down with other and they have a kid and they think that's supposed to be the trump card. I'm like, no, the trump card is I walk away. That's the trump card. Because only one of us is walking away in an altercation. Because I'm not doing that watching my back. I'm too old for that shit. Go one, keep living. That's it.
Yeah,
Either you and me, not both. One of us ain't gonna make it to the bottom here. That's a go. That's number one. I used to say that same thing at the casino. I said, I walked in here, I'm gonna walk out. And if that means rural methods got to carry you to the hospital and I get to get charged with a crime, I'll see you in court. But all of that stuff comes into play, man, because a lot of that stuff people don't realize what you do as an adolescent pretty much carries over to your adulthood. I think I had one or two fights going from junior high school on into graduation. I don't fight now unless I absolutely have to. So some of the things that we establish in our youth, they carry on with you. My goal is to never fight unless I absolutely have to. So if I can sit there and say, hey, look, man, I'm sorry for this, I'm sorry for that, that wasn't my intent. Don't do that. Because that means nobody has to be hurt. I'm a peaceful person until violence is the only recourse that I have. That's always a goal of mine. And there have been some situations where I could just say, you know what? Let's get to throwing hands. For me, it doesn't really solve anything. It addresses an issue in the short term because if I really get the best of this person, you got a lot of these cats who can't take that and they're coming back. I'm just like, I'm not living like that. So, me being healthy, me being free of violence, having to look over my shoulder for stupidity, it's always a goal of mine. Me being more successful this year than I was the past year and prior years, that's always a goal. Now, how do I do that? I learn more. I listen more. I try to broaden my circle more. So what that means is, um, and I always talk about the Diary of a CEO podcast. I love listening to him. Lewis Dawes, I think his name is. Don't quote me on that. He has another podcast. These are simple things that anyone can do to expand your circle of knowledge. Let's say in high school you weren't good at history, but you want to become good at history, so you can partake in those conversations. The easiest thing to do is start listening to old coverage of things that happened in history. Now, you may like wars more so than you do other things. You may like inventions more so, science related history. You may like medical history. All of that stuff is sitting on YouTube. And then there's the other site that's very similar to YouTube. Jeez, I can't recall the name right now, but they do um podcasts the same as YouTube. The difference is that site is a lot more friendly to content that might be alternative. So Obsidian's on, and I can't remember. Speaking of which, I want to acknowledge. I would be foolhardy if I didn't acknowledge Dr. T. Hassan Johnson and Obsidian Mamiam Ali on the collaboration they did. Gentlemen, that was fantastic. We consistently hear about black men not working together. And when we do, there's very little acknowledgement of that. So I want to be out front as one of, I'm sure many people who didn't watch that live to congratulate you. And Obsidian, you did a fantastic job on your studio, man. Just want to take my hats off to you because you've been in the game for. You've been, in, matter of fact, one of the Black Manosphere content creators. So you've been in the game from day one doing it. So I salute you for that. You know, a couple other heads are in there, and I always shout out BGS, of course, because he's a thought leader. See, I want to be that kind of person. I want to be able to sit down and talk about anything. But the only way you do that is you have to start. Knowledge is not gifted to us. Knowledge is something you have to go out and acquire. And a lot of people don't want to do that because it requires working. And I'm saying I want to be known as one of those people who an individual sits down and has a conversation with niggas and you know what? I learned something. I didn't know that. I was talking to a lady at work and I had asked her, I had just finished, okay, I had just finished watching Rocky 4, I think it was. And I asked a question about sequels. And I'll ask that question here. What strictly movie sequels do you think were the best? We came up with a list of at least 4 or 5. Rocky was one, Star Wars, the Police Academies. We couldn't include Star Trek because Star Trek started out as a television series, but there were all kinds. Lord of the Rings comes to mind now because even though Lord of the Rings started out as a book series, it moved into movies. What's the other one that's the animated one that was done completely via computer? Um, they have 2 out. It's not Aladdin. I can't remember, but some of you guys may be good writers. Get together with a group of your friends, write a movie, put on a play. All these things you can do literally for pennies on a dollar. And if you don't know how to produce a play, let's say you got some ideas, you got 4 or 5 of your friends, you're all creative. We see the shorts on TikTok. Why not take what you see on TikTok or take what you're making and move it to reality? And even if you have people that have to stand there and read the script, which is what I did the last one. I was in the workshop. You would be surprised at how many people turn up to support me. You'd be surprised how many people turn up and say, you know what? I want my child to be in this. How can I get my child to be in this? And the next thing you know, you created something from just the thoughts that are in your mind that you said, you know what? I'm going to take it, put it to pen and paper, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to have this form for about a dozen or so kids. It keeps them out of trouble. The parents are thankful. And you don't know when you're going to create an actor or an actress from that 10 years down the road, they might be in a role. And they started with what you got them to do. All the stuff is available for people. So when people talk about, well, I don't know what to do, I don't have the goals, they're there. Just sit with yourself and think, what do I do that I like to do that might make me some coin? And it just might be a hobby, it might not make any coin, but it's a way you do it.
Well, so that was goal progress.
Yeah.
So you first got to have, you got to visualize, and you got to have a goal in mind. And again, you can start off with that whole thing with the SMART acronyms, whatever: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely, and time manageable. If you can, if you can base it on those, and if you come up with a goal, and if you can look at those acronyms and see, that's how you can kind of guide and figure if your goal is a correct goal for you. So think about that. So the second one was habits and routines. Habits are important, and routines. Uh, and again, I often tie conversations what I have with my, whether it's middle school or high school. I always ask kids, what's your routine like? What's your routine in the morning? What's your routine at bedtime? Even as adults, you have to have routine. Uh, because if not, you're going to be all over the fucking place. And when you have habits, you do realize that it takes is doing something 21 consecutive days, it becomes a habit. And so good or bad or indifferent. So if you said, I'm going to take a walk, and you do it for 21 days, that may be something that you start doing from here on out. But and that's just what they throw out there. But I tend to believe that it's true. And I'm the type that I'm very consistent. But once I fall off track, then I consistently will fall off track.
Yeah.
And it may take me a while to get back on track. So it's important to establish routines. And I always, like I said, with middle school kids, I always ask them, like, what do y'all do when you get out of school? And, many of them say, oh, I go grab something to eat. I go walk my dog. Then I got football practice. And they name all these things. And I say, well, what about homework?
Yeah.
They go, we don't have homework. You do have homework. Every day you look, and if you're missing an assignment and you got a couple weeks, a window that you can complete it, that's work that needs to be done. And I guess from our era, we were given, like, this is your homework in science, this is your homework in this. So we knew, but now they try to remove all that they could try to accomplish all this in school, because I guess they kind of look at the family dynamics and understand that some kids may not have no structure at home. So they try to set it up that they could do most of it at school. Well, we also had study halls. A lot of people screwed around in study halls, but I kind of took study halls serious. Like, okay, this was opportunity to get some work done. And so it's important. And the reason why I get on them, like, it's important to have a routine. I said, what time y'all go to bed? And I say because most middle school kids, like sixth graders, yeah, probably should be wrapping it up around nine. Seventh grade, maybe 9:30. Uh, eighth grade, you teetering with the 9:30, 10 o'clock mark. Nothing too much later than that. And when they say, "Oh, I go to bed at 1," I go to bed at 12, and all that. And I say, "Do you realize how it impacts the next day? Because you're irritable, and you're kind of all over the place because you don't have a routine." Like some people might say they so anal, they routine is just like so structured, everything is set up, they iron their clothes they for the week, and but they on point with everything. They never feel that sense of discomfort because they got everything in place. So essentially you want to have habits and routines so that everything, even if something was thrown off that day, you'll be ready to face with it because your mental state is on point because you've been on point. Your routine just keep flowing. And you're like, well, whatever hits me, but I'm not going to be disheveled because we all know how it is when you're running
Right.
late and you're trying to get somewhere and you're trying to get to work and you're aggravated and then you get hit with a barrage of shit. Now you double it. It just it's just a bad day. But if you have habits and routines and structure is always going to be the key. Um,
Yeah.
and that's why even when we use the paradigm of sports, some organizations got structure. They do things a certain way. You got to act a certain way, or you won't be a part of that uh, program. When you look at the Yankees, when you think about the San Antonio Spurs, and the New England Patriots and things like that, teams that establish dynasties, is because they have a structure, they have a culture. And, to be honest, we got to get culture in these homes. Got to get fucking culture,
Yeah.
system, routine, structure. This the way this shit going down in here. This is what we do it here. It, no matter, it's a lot of blended families and stuff like that. That happens. Got to have some structure and culture in our households, in our communities. And I think people don't want to acknowledge that. That's why we fucked up in gangs right now because there's no structure and culture around. Go ahead, let you have it.
I'm gonna follow that up. The ultimate structure. I'm gonna ask a question. After I ask a question, I don't expect anybody to put in the chat. The ultimate structure we have as a individual human being is what? It is our skeletal structure. From my head to our fingers, to the radium, to the ulna, to the humerus, bridge, femur, pelvis, scapula, collarbones, femur humerus, all the way down. Without that structure, we fall apart. It's as simple as that. In the military, they teach their recruits. First thing you do when you get out of bed is you make your bed in barracks. Why? Because it's the foundation of saying that you did something productive. A lot of students, they struggle with being productive. Why? No culture, no structure. So when they get to school, in their mind, they're not going to do anything that's going to allow them to pass. That's the way they see themselves. Unfortunate, but that can be changed. This is why I think little successes eventually translate into big successes. I always, first thing I do when I come home, And sometimes I have to double check because I do it without thinking. I come in, if I come in my back door, I close the door, lock it, all in one motion. And I said to myself, damn, did I lock my door? Yeah. Come in, shoes off, drop my bag. One of my cats usually come up to the door, greet me, drop my keys off on the kitchen table. All that in the first minute, and I haven't thought about any of that. It's routine. It's a part of what I do every day when I come from work. Um, Now, depending on what I'm doing after that, usually I go take my shirt, I'll try off, go feed the cats, go check on the mail sometimes, although I've broken that habit. But get yourself a series of habits, things that you do every single day. And if you do those, I read somewhere, if you do something 1,000 times, it becomes a habit. So in order to break a bad habit, you got to do something 2,000 times. But habits and structures, they will carry you to whatever success you have. Conversely, they will also carry you to your failures. Now, people are going to say, but wait a minute. If my habits carry me to success, then how can it carry me to failure? Simple. Your habits are bad. Good habits lead to good results. Bad habits lead to bad results. So if you come in and you place your keys down, but you place your keys all over the place, guess what? You don't know where your keys are. You come in, you place a wallet down, you don't know where your wallet's at. It's a habit. Same place, all the time. You will never, I guarantee you will never have to say, where are my keys at, unless you do something different.
That's
That habit
facts.
is like, that habit, I will tell you this, that habit is akin to a sprinter getting in the block. They do the same thing. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Steph Curry comes out, same thing pregame. Repetition, repetition. All your great shooters, repetition, repetition. Everybody, I guarantee you, they talk about the lifestyles and the habits of the wealthy. They all do certain things without fail. Now, they may not do it all at the same time, but they do them. So if you ever find yourself in a rut and you need a change, don't change what has gotten you to the rut. Whatever has gotten you to the rut has proven successful. Just find something different to add on to that that gets you a step ahead so you get a step away from the rut. And I guarantee you won't stay in that rut long. Why? Because you're pushing yourself to do something different. It's the same thing that somebody's lifting weights and they plateau and they're having a hard time breaking through that plateau. They don't stop. They push through, but they push through incrementally. So, and I've never been to 225, so I'm not even going to use 225. Let's say I get stuck at benching 185 and I can't push out no more than 12 reps. All right, cool. You know what I'm going to do? Let's say I'm doing, let's say I'm lifting heavy, so I'm doing 3 sets. I'm doing 8 reps. 185, I can't do. All right, so you know what I'm going to do? For those first 2 sets, I'm going to bring out what I normally do. The third set, I'm going to bang out. So with that, those last 2 reps, I'm going to stop. I'm just going to do an additional pound on each one, or additional half a pound, make up a pound. For 186, I can get 186 2 reps. Guess what? The next time, I'm going to do 186 3 reps. Next time, 4. Next time, 5. Next time, 6. Next time, 7. Next thing you know, I done banged out the entire set of 186, 8 reps. So now I'm going to go up to 187. Before you know it, guess what? I done added 5 pounds to my max for 1 set. I do it with the next one. I do it with the next one, and on and on and on. We to make great strides is okay. But sometimes we have to see our success in making smaller strides. Because if I needed to move 1,000 pounds from point A to point B, I don't have to move 1,000 pounds at one time. Do what you're capable of, move a pound at a time. It'll take you some time to accomplish that goal. But you accomplish the goal by moving a pound at a time. And when you do that, you can say, you know what? I never thought I saw myself moving that rate like that. Sometimes to solve a problem, we have to look at it differently. And when you look at certain problems differently, that's when you start to open your mind. You start to look at the possibilities. You say, you know what? Let me see if I can talk to somebody else that might give me a different way. Let me see if I can look at this a different way. And don't browbeat yourself when you're not as successful as you were, so long as you're continuing down the path of success. I do it all the time. I'm frustrated with the fact that I'm just eating down just to eat, and it has the adverse effect on my weight. But I know if I buckle down and whether I need some cooperation from your mother nature. Come on, what's the problem? You and Father Time arguing again? Get that shit straight. I need some sunny days. I know I can do it. This is a matter of doing it. Now that is nobody's fault other than my own. Put down the spoon, put down the fork, push away from the table. Stop eating so much of the sippy dips and get my ass on the track, on the bike, on the rollerblades. Get it done. Because I was doing it last year. I was down to 255. So I have no excuses.
Well,
You know, those are the things that go.
I have a little something, little funnier. And for me, over the years, I've been in the game for a while, and always said at the school, I said, I'm not the starter, I'm the closer. And intentionally, I don't know if it's intentionally. And then I'm talking, and somebody could be watching and like, oh, well, we heard him say this on this thing. But at this point in the stage of the game, do I really give a fuck? So, um, as far as me, you'll never expect me at this point to be the first one at work, but I'm more likely to be the last one. And I always told certain administrators that I work with, I'm not the starter. I said, I'm the fucking Kobe. I'm the fucking close. That I close this shit out. And one of the things that I had enjoyed doing this, and it's something that's simple. And I think the great John Wooden said, little things lead to big things. And I would enjoy stopping at with it, Taco Bell, like in the morning, and getting the steak crunch wrap, hash brown, and like an iced coffee. Because that was like lunch. That was like lunch, breakfast and lunch. That and remember, we're talking about habits and routines.
Yeah.
So I would eat the hash brown and the sip on the coffee like early in the morning, and I'll be good. I'll be good. And then I eat the steak crunch wrap like that would be like lunch, and then that would carry me through. And that was only like 7.94. Uh, because now every lunchtime, a lot of people like the DoorDash and all that shit. They fucking robbing you. They be robbing. I get caught up in that shit sometimes too. So that's a whole another story that you order a little combo that usually would be like 11, $12, end up being like fucking $30 or something. But I would get that. But then one day I pulled up and I was coming to work. I was rolling, had my iced coffee, and I remember my coworker. She had, I don't know if it was Christmas time, but I think what it stood out for her, she was like, David, like Taco Bell. and she got me a gift card because she would see me coming and she's like, I did not know Taco Bell had ice like coffee, whatever. And so she kind of assumed affiliated that with me because I would make sure that I would get up and get out the house so I can have that and go through the drive through. Not that their drive through was long like that because it was a McDonald's right across the street, so most people went there. And then one day I pulls up and I'm like, okay, I see the person, the shadow and the thing, and I'm like, and I'm at the the little thing, whatever, the little intercom thing, and I'm like, they're not just gonna fucking say anything. So I'm still waiting and waiting. And finally I pull up to the window and it was a sign that said like they will be no longer serving breakfast. I'm like, what the
Ooh.
fuck? And I'm
Oh,
but it reminded me also too that like we don't have no human element of loyalty, whatever. Like this lady had because it used to be it always would be the same lady that would serve me. You had to know my voice. You had to know my voice. You had to know that you could have went on the intercom. She didn't know my name, obviously, but say, "I'm sorry, we're not serving breakfast." She tried
yeah.
to avoid the fact she never even came and said, opened the window, said anything. She could have said it the day before, like, "I want to let you
Right.
know that we're no longer gonna be
Heads up. Yeah.
serving breakfast." But she never said anything. So I go through and I see that, and I'm like, "What the fuck?" Because I was rolling. I was cooking, getting to work early, had my coming in with my iced coffee and all that stuff. Shit crashed soon after that,
Yeah.
whatever, because that became a part of my routine that I would say, okay,
Yep.
I'm gonna save some money. I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna make sure I can be able to have time to go through that drive through. But when that
Yeah.
faltered, and I know some of you like, oh, you act, none of you, my family members like Sherman Clump ass motherfucker. But sometimes it's just a little mental thing, and that would
Yeah.
motivate me just to have that. Like, hey, I could get a iced coffee, hash brown, steak crunch wrap, breakfast and lunch done, solved. I'm good. And literally, I would be full for the rest of the day by just eating those three items at work. But then they decided to shut that motherfucker down, and and it never was the same. I think they're building a new one, but the fact that the same person didn't have enough social skills, and that's another part of it. Relationships,
Yeah.
a part of goal setting, that you didn't have enough sense to say when I went through there the day before to say, um, yeah, I want to tell this sucks, but they're about to we're no longer going to be serving breakfast. That would have changed my whole mindset. But you waited, and I seen your fat ass shadow. Yeah, I said it. Because I'm petty as hell through through the thing, and you wouldn't come on the mic and say anything, whatever. Not good. Not good. I know. You shouldn't body shame. You're a counselor. Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna build on that. I'm,
Yeah.
I'm gonna take that example and I'm gonna build on it. Now, just imagine he gets to the office one morning, one of his coworkers peeps that he doesn't have his normal thing. He runs it down to her. She says, "Oh, all right, you know what I'm gonna do? Because I'm a new person in here. I'm trying to get in good with him. I'm trying to network. I'm gonna see how he takes his coffee. If there's anything specific he likes about the crunch wrap and the hash brown, salt, pepper." She brings it in, sits it on his desk. How do you think that's gonna make David feel? Pretty appreciative, pretty good. I was like, who did this? And she might leave a card. Hey, new hire. I heard about your problems. I'm here to add a little sparkle to your
Said
day.
problem. It
you don't,
became a
you don't,
problem.
you see, and it's funny. Sometimes we don't acknowledge. I won't say we don't see. We don't acknowledge the little things that we can do as co-workers that can enhance somebody's day. And I will say that in this particular, me and my coworker, shout out to Kevin, we never made plans to hang out. I don't even think I have his phone number, and it's not important. The thing that is important is that we know what each other's going to do in terms of a schedule. So if he's planning on going somewhere, I know before management does because that's how we roll. I know that he likes to spend Christmas with his family, so when Christmas Eve comes around and they put out the duty sheet, he knows that I'm going to have all Thanksgiving because I'm going to watch my Cowboys play. He's cool with that. I know he wants off Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. I'm cool with that. That's the rapport that we have, though. So there's never, and I mean never, any issues between him and myself. He's running the audit. If he calls me from the back, somebody needs something, I don't complain. Oh, I gotta no, because I know what he's doing. I get up, do it. And, if you need anything else, let me know. Let me know what time you're going on break. Let me know what time you're doing this. Sometimes work becomes burdensome because we don't want to develop a rapport that helps the job get done. The most, at least for me and him, the most important thing is the job gets done. So when we get on the computers, I know what he's gonna do. He knows what I'm gonna do. If there's any confusion, we ask. We don't point and say, "This is your job. This is your job." No, this is our job. And if you have people like that that you work with, they're always complaining about whose job it is to do what when nothing specific is assigned to anyone. Just get together and say, "Hey, look, why are we here?" And it doesn't have to be anything formal. It doesn't need to include management. It could be three or four people just say, "Hey, look, we're here to do a job. Let's divvy this up among ourselves. We don't need management, and it was going to be a handshake agreement that you do this, I do this, you do that, she does this. And if anybody needs any help, we ask. We get it done, we move on to the next task. It's and I'm going to use the sports analogy. I know this pisses women off. Hey, look, my job is to get the quarterback the ball. Whether it's a run play, his job is to get the ball to the running back. If it's a passing play, his job is to pass the ball to the quarterback or to the receiver. Conversely, if you're in the kitchen and you're making breakfast, it's two men, one woman. Okay, your job is to mix up the pancake batter and the eggs. Your job is to pour it on the grill. Your job is to come trying to make the omelets. We're done. Working together is the easiest way to make difficult tasks manageable. If you want to work against each other, go ahead and knock yourself out. Add to the stress that you already have at work because you all don't want to work together as a team. The team, the team is going to be the greatest source of success that anyone has, that anyone's associated with, that you can ever be around. Your family is your team. You need something done, and I know this doesn't always happen. Call on your team. Call on your extended team. This is why I always talk about not burning bridges, having friends. Call on them, but don't abuse them. And likewise, if they call on you, stop what you're doing to go help them. So long as what you stop doing isn't pivotal to your life. Do that. Be there for each other. Establish that rapport. So when this individual needs something, they say, you know what? I don't know who else I can call on, but I know I can call on this person. and be that same anchor, be that same cornerstone for that person. Because for you to ask of another individual what you're not giving of yourself is unfair and it's imbalance and it strikes up ingratitude. I ask people to do stuff because I know when they ask me to do stuff, I'm there. This is why, and I mentioned this earlier. I am never surprised when something comes my way and I ask myself if I deserve it. God damn right I deserve it because I earned it. I put in some work down the line years ago and now I'm reaping the benefits. Some of you never get to reap the benefits because you don't put in the work. Put in that work. Become a teammate. Build your relationships because you never know where your next favor is going to come from. Somebody might say, you know what? I remember when I was in a jam, I know such and such is experiencing some financial crisis. They need a couple of days a week. Let me call them up and see how they're doing. Yo, such and such, just send you a text. You still looking for work? Man, am I? Yo, call this person here. Tell them I sent you. Tell them what it is. Boom. You get that text. You get that call. Guess what? You say, man, I got the job. You send that person back a text. Yo, man, I owe you. They say, guess what? You don't owe me anything. I'm paying you back a pay. You did this for me such and such time ago. I never forgot. I just didn't have the opportunity to pay it back. This is the payback. But people don't want to do that. Some of y'all, some of us most, and I'm gonna curse you. Some of y'all are so selfish that you can't think about your motherfucking body but yourself. And then why you laughing? That's why. You're selfish.
And I always keep saying that, people say, the letters God, God, and I say right behind that is KYP. Know your personnel. Uh, and that has a lot to do with relationship building and when her mentioning work, habits and routines. We all know who we working with. We all know everybody's strong suits. Uh, and we know people deficits. Uh, then sometimes you get to a point that you're ready to maybe move on to something else, and that's part about goal setting. So that's where I'm kind of stuck between. I mean, where I'm at, I'm just about to complete 20 years in Baltimore County, but I've been in uh, education for 31 years, and so I'm always feel like I'm going to be an educator. But right now, I'm in the process of trying to get goals set to move on and do something else. And what I want to do next is not nothing. Uh, and I mentioned it before. All I want to do is get me a sprinter, ride out. And some people are doing it. Drop off cargo, just chill, city to city, to go where I want to go. Uh, Shit, I can have my phone on, uh, and put out quick shorts and things of that nature. That's all I want to do. Something simple. Get
Yeah, I don't
paid.
think people. Yeah, I don't think people realize um, a couple things. The job market, and I saw this somewhere, and it made a lot of sense. It said the 9 to 5 grind that we grew up with, that we're accustomed to, that's going to change. So not only are people going to have to get in where they fit in, some people might have to create um, an alternate business cycle to where what you said becomes commonplace. People are dropping packages off city to city, um, across town couriers. Somewhere right now, somebody is building the next Amazon. Somebody right now is building the the next small studio where they shoot movies at. People are being told that AI is taking over. Yeah, AI is going to displace a lot of people, but every evolution has displaced a lot of people. The sorry, brain fog. The Industrial Revolution displaced farmers. Technological revolutions displace people in offices. The AI revolution is going to displace people in various industries. Every invention of mankind has displaced somebody. Also, every mankind has also given people the opportunity to create something new. So people are going to have a lot more free time. People want to be entertained. Do you have a knack to entertain? What's that knack? Short stories. And I talked about this earlier. Can you write films? Can you explore. It's, you can shoot your movie while you're driving across country. You can edit it. You can do it. I see this all the time with New York, and New York is huge. There's so many places that I haven't visited in New York, even though I've been there countless times. Same thing with Toronto. You can be a tour guide. You can be a tour guide for a groups of 6 or 7 people, charging $20 an hour in your hometown. Become a wine expert. Become a culinary chef to where you're cooking meals for people in home. We have all these um, groceries like um, Green Chef. Um, there's a couple of them out there. People are taking advantage of those, and if you only need to capture a small percentage of the market, you don't need to be a multi millionaire. Would it be nice? Yes. But just capture a part of the market. You might have a clothing line that you want to do. I know, I have one in the back of my head. Matter of fact, and I've displayed it before. Give me a moment.
While he's talking, wait, look at, and that's all. That's all I want to do. I want to do something totally different. I just want to ride, see different places. Of course, still make my money, but I'm never gonna be removed from being an educator or dropping knowledge. The podcast and this still, it's not gonna go away. You know what's gonna happen? I'm gonna get raw. I'm
This
gonna
right
get
here is
raw.
something me and my boy we came up with about 25 years ago. Haven't trademarked it, but it's there. I'm looking to expand on that, and when I get a chance to sit with him and sit down, I'm looking to take that global. And some people can say, "Well, what's the trademark about?" Something like that, because this world is on a 24-hour business cycle, and there are some people who only work midnights, don't work any other shift, and they have for years. And you know what? They'll shorten their life for it. We call them people soldiers. They march, got the orders, they go to work, get the hash brown, the coffee, the steak was the steak and cheese, and
Steak
they go to
crunch
work.
wrap. Yeah, steak
They,
crunch wrap.
they, they punch up, and they go to work. They're the unsung heroes of the global economy, and they get very little recognition.
Got one of my students on here. What's
I'm
up,
seeing you.
Lori? What's going on, LB? I see you putting in work on shit all over. How you doing? Haven't seen you in a minute. You got to come up to Nottingham and holler at us. Well, it's only 10 days of school left, but hope everything is well. I'll be seeing you. Glad you doing your thing. Shit, I need to come see you soon. You know where I'm at, Nottingham. Uh, but I'll be peeping your stuff. You putting in the work. Grown so much, grown so much. Your personality, uh, the way you brand yourself. I'm proud of you. And you know we got a lot to talk about. You know, me and J Rob want to get you in a corner and we just holler at you. What you say? Because I want to be a counselor. Okay,
Right, there you go.
okay, I got you. I got you. I got you. no doubt. And I believe you built your status that you got people that's gonna follow you, and I know your heart, and I know your nature that it'll come easy to you. So I got your back. So just come see me. Come see me all
Report,
day long. I got you.
report, and that's what
And
I'm
we
talking
we
about.
and we and we talked about that earlier. That you have former students that come back and they recognize you. And she said, "Thank you. I would definitely get up with y'all so we could talk about everything, and we'll be there for you. You know, you was one of our little darlings. So, what was that? What was I'm getting old. I'm getting old. What was our little group name that we had
Oh,
for you? Uh, come on, look again. Okay, see that this is what happened when you work. You have so many cycles of students
mhm.
that go through. Like I got students that's doctors now. They have kids, and then we're connected in the world of social media. So you still stay in touch. So it's amazing. So
Yeah,
sky's the limit. Sky's the limit on what you can do. But I'm all education and all that stuff is always going to be connected to my heart. But I realize as we talk about goal setting, I think about life after that. Like, what am I going to do? Of course, I want to see. I want to see different places. I want to be able to control my own schedule. All that stuff is
yeah,
important to me. I want to be able to say, "Damn, I'm about to go higher for these 2 weeks. Then the next 2 weeks, I'm about to chill because this is coming up. This is coming up." But meanwhile, you getting it. You getting it because you following along with the trends of what's going on, like transportation, cargo, different things like that. A lot of people are using third party stuff with individuals to deliver and pick up stuff. And like I said, I just want to ride out. Just want to ride out, make content, ride out, pick up things, and keep rolling. And that's that. But it's gonna be a different version once I get done with the school thing. Stay tuned. A lot of folks. I'm gonna, ain't nothing gonna matter there. Y'all
yeah.
gonna be like, oh, that would be really controversial because he going for next. And
Yeah,
it may seem
yeah,
that way, but some people deserve it. And hey, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. Just gotta stay tuned and see.
yeah. Where one road ends, I won't say door closes. Where one road ends, the ability to start another one is always ever present. The question is, do you want to start? Because you know, I definitely no matter what happens with my particular place now, even though they cut back my hours and some more, I have another business plan in mind. All I have to do is put it together and roll it out. Now, how successful it will be, that's up to the winds. That's up to how well I do, how I market it, and there's beyond a doubt a need for it. I'm just not going to get into it here because I'm not trying to put my ideal out there to throw this filthy. Sometimes you got to know when to shut the fuck up, and sometimes you got to know when to speak. I'm going to shut the fuck up and get books to the minute. Keep the secrets. Not yet. Until it gets to a point where people ask and they're going to say, well, damn, what are you doing? And I'm saying, I'm doing this on the side. I might be working here part time. I might be um, got another book under pen. I know takes 4 years, but that's okay. There's something I didn't realize that they say the average book takes about 3 or 4 years to write. I don't know how accurate that is. Um, if that is the case, then I got I really got lucky with mine because I sat down and wrote that book, all that was in there for months. But mind you, I didn't add any um no concrete information that required notations, charts, or graphs. Everything that's in this particular forthcoming book is things that I thought about, sat around, and used concrete examples and drew from those, and then put the results of those into words so people could understand, particularly about how humans, whether it be me, another female David, how we interact in certain situations, because they always say most human behavior is pretty predictable. It's rare that you can predict what somebody's gonna do unless they're an outlier. Most of us, when it comes to most things, dating, pretty predictable. Somebody says something offensive to you, you're probably gonna react in an offensive manner. Most people don't say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna get a police. It's predictable. And there's nothing wrong with being predictable. It allows people to work with you. I know if I'm going to be late, somebody's going to be upset because they're being delayed. It's rare that you come to work and you're late and you leave somebody and they're happy. I don't know those people. I don't know too many of those people. They usually, where the hell you been? Now, if you call ahead of time and say, hey, I'm running late, those people generally, they're grateful. They say, okay, you know what? I have to adjust my schedule. Let me call, pick up the phone. I might have to get somebody to ride to school or somewhere, or the bus or whatever. And let them know, hey, look, I'm going to be getting really late from work. This is what you expect. Well, I might have to find another way to school. Okay, so long as you know. Click. This is what people don't do, and this is how people they lose courage with others because, like I said, they're ungrateful. Okay, if it isn't about them,
Well, I already could tell y'all right now the way it's set up that and when I was doing the promo, I said this is a lot. This is a lot of information. So I knew it was going to be a part two of this evaluation. So, and we're only on. We only covered two. and but
that's it.
next,
Just two.
yeah, we talked about
Okay.
goal, progress, habits, and routine, and self care. Well, we kind of talked about that too. Reflect on self care practices, including physical, emotional, and mental well being, and that's important. We can't never. That's a whole. We talked about that. That's a whole podcast show
Yeah.
broadcast in itself about self care when you think about goal setting. And me often look at how many people our age have passed, and not even just people we know, just entertainers and things like that
Yeah.
in their 50s is gone. Like it's so disheartening. Like it's real. Uh, Mortality it's real when you start getting a certain age because you don't know. A lot of people die in their sleep. A lot of people die in their sleep and they're in a house and nobody can get a hold of them. And then somebody gets in and you find them dead or whatever the case is. It's scary out here. It's scary out here. And for some of y'all who doing foolish shit, shooting and killing people
Yeah.
and doing shit that don't make no sense, think about it. Just think about it. You give them one life. And not only that we have to deal with that, but we have a greater percentage of people who want to take their own lives and want to commit suicide and stuff like that because they can't cope. It, self-care is so important. The physical, shit, the emotional part of it, and even and that's a part of it too, the financial part, but it's mainly practice including physical and emotional and mental well-being. If you ain't solid mentally, the physical gonna go down. Because
Hmm.
you only can drive the physical only gonna be driven off of your mind.
Right.
Like you could say, "Oh, I'm about to get up and run 2 miles or do this or do that. I'm about to go hoop. About to do this." If your emotional state ain't positive, you ain't about to do shit. You ain't gonna do nothing. Some people can't get up and go to work. Some kids can't get up and go to school. The list go on and on. It's so important. Self help. What do you do to get yourself out of a bad spot? What goals do you set to say, man, I need to stay solid? Because I could tell you one of the
Hmm.
things that keep a lot of people down is the motherfuckers that you fuck with on a daily basis.
Yeah.
If they ain't shit,
And
I hate to say it, you probably ain't gonna be shit. And that's real talk. If that's what you deal with every day. So sometimes you got to have like boundaries and kind of like blockers. They'll kind of block that out because you have to gather yourself. Because some of us are like all over the place. Got this going on, got the family doing this, so much going on that you can never reflect and kind of focus and get back on track. And self help is important. Her gonna
yeah.
let you take it because I gotta run to the John. Unfortunately, I ain't gonna do like Shaq did on TNT because he had to do something else. But I ain't got to do all that. But go ahead, hold it
Yeah.
down.
Self help. Um, Self help can come in a number of ways. For me, self help is me setting a template of what I can do, what I need to do to get myself back to a state of good health. David always teases me about ordering the pizza and wings. I have pretty much stopped that. But me having the habits that I do, I eat during this time and also go to sleep. So I have some Chinese food that I'm going to eat up. But I know tomorrow I will either pick up the basketball or I'm going to go rollerblade. I'm going to make sure that this week I was supposed to do a complete vegetarian. That didn't work out. Good thought, excellent, um, or lack of execution. I was going to say excellent execution. Execution that didn't happen that way. But I know I need to start, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get back to where I should be. I wanted to achieve the 100-pound weight loss by the end of the summer. So by the end of August, might be a bit audacious unless I can do 2 pounds a day. That'll put me close. But a pound a day will be since the beginning of June, 3 months, 90 pounds. End of end of September. So about the end of summer. So I will keep everybody updated every week. You can get my weight. But I need to do that for myself. That's my self help. I like to work out outside because it gives me a chance to air out all the thoughts that I have, all the things that I need to do. Like I said, I got about $20,000 in home repair. That money in my bank account to write the check to have it done. And some of the stuff I want to do myself, like I want to resurface my floors. Me, that's self help. But because I'm in the physical shape to where I can get down and do that, and it doesn't leave me too much discomfort. Yeah, being on my knees is not something enjoyable, but the end product is gonna be like, yeah, you did a kick ass job, and that's what I was looking forward to. I was looking forward to the finished product and the labor that I spent. I do the same thing when I cut my front lawn. I cut my front lawn. I step back into the middle of the street, and I'm saying, you know what? This is why I owned a home, or this is why I bought a home. This is why I own a home. Simple things. I'm a simple creature, really. I really am. Simple things bring me to a very, very happy place, shall I say. And you guys know I don't happy often, but I'm, I'm doing like, yeah. this is home. This is what it should be. Did I get picked on as a kid? Um, uh, um, I didn't necessarily get picked on as a kid. Um, Mainly because I had the brothers that I did. But when I was in foster care, I was isolated as a kid. So when it was me and my younger brother, we faced a different set of circumstances than the average kid did. So from that aspect, it made me tougher only because I was by myself, so I couldn't really rely on quote unquote family because my family was my younger brother. Now I can't go to him for help. So there are some things that being a foster kid has definitely toughened my exterior, which is why not too much bothers me. I mean, honestly, I've had people say things about me. I'm just like, okay. And I'll have some people say, that didn't bother me. I'm like, listen, man, at the end of the day, you can say pretty much what you want to me. So long as you don't put your hands on me, we good. Because I realize at the end of the day, most people are saying something to get a reaction out of you, not because they really genuinely dislike you. They you get some people that'll set a bad joke and they say, "Look, man, I didn't mean that personal. I was just trying to get a rise out of you because I want to test you. I want to see who you are. I want to see what I'm around." And that's something. Good question, by the way, Grant. That's something that happens in black culture where it doesn't happen in too many other cultures. Now, you might get to the military and you might get razzed or hazed, but I don't think there's too many other cultures, and I could be wrong, where people are picking on you just to see if you're gonna stand up for yourself. And that's hard when you come from um, a family that can't get you name brand clothing when everybody else around you is wearing Nike, Adidas, Pumas, and you coming in with some off brand name, and you were Target. You got Target written all on you, and sometimes you got to scrap to get your way out of there. Sometimes you gotta play the dozens with them, and that's what David was talking about earlier. Is that him and the other guy, hey, they come from a culture where hey, we can throw them digs back. Some people don't come from that culture, so they read that behavior wrong. And it's not that the kids are being disrespectful. That's the culture they grew up in. Not good or bad, it's just the culture.
Yeah, and one of the things Greg said, you develop a tough skin. Yeah, you do develop a tough skin. We all often talked about it in Niagara Falls, and different people grow up in different areas. We talk about the North Avenue experience that we, you know, when I look at this day and age, that there's no community or there's no connection. Well, when we grew up, it was a lot of boys in the neighborhood. You have boys from every age group, a cycle. So the rites of passage was passed on. It got passed on to each level, which is probably missing now. That we grew together, we stuck together, and I don't think many of us had many fears, um, because we always knew we had a support system. And Niagara Falls is only so big, but we would go around to different areas, and you know we walk with confidence. If you didn't have confidence, you was gonna get it because the older guys was gonna
Yeah,
let you have it. So you had to develop it, and you know a lot of us came out on top. It's a lot of people who are in management leadership positions because they went through that plight of
mm,
difficult times. And it wasn't about taking no college courses and this and that. Of course, that probably secured the thing, but it was always in that person's DNA. Like what they went through or suffered, they were built for it. So, and I think that's probably what's lacking now with this. younger generation because as much as they look at us like old man, I could never recall calling somebody, 50 something, an old man.
No.
I kind of marveled around being around them because you knew, like, yo, he got the juice. He got the goods. He been through it. So it wasn't a disrespectful thing. And some of them, it's not disrespect. It's it's out of respect when they might say, "Oh, gee, old man," and this and that. But I just for some of them when they make the comment, "Old man," they may be trying to be disrespectful, but my skin too tough to get boggled down by that. So you better off going elsewhere to try to use that. But we looked at people who, at a certain age, they was respect. It was respect, and
Yeah.
like my man, like Jason Seawright said, and he met up with us in South Carolina. He said, "Man, I always tell people, like, man, I'm 50 something. Like, you're blessed to get to this point. If you get to this point and somebody calling you OG, Unk, and all that stuff, you all right. Because a lot of people ain't making it to this point, and that's the thing that they don't see. But again, we're on different spectrums. It's a whole different dynamics with all that, and I kind of keep telling people that some of the younger generations, not that we didn't have it in our generations, but you had the epidemic of crack babies, kids with fetal alcohol syndrome, and all of that stuff that we're seeing it now with some of the behaviors of kids, that their rational thoughts, their impulsiveness, uh, their irrational judgments, the decisions that they make, no compassion, no empathy, or whatever the case is. And I think we had that. And I know that's one of the things that drove me to do the things that I did because I had compassion and empathy for others. So, Carmelo, Herb, you muted. I can't hear you.
It's not that you shrug it off. It's like you being on a boat and the waves come. You learn to ride the waves out because the wave is always the worst part of it. A lot of people, like I said earlier, they say those because they're trying to get a reading on you. They want to know if they can trust you, if you're soft, if you can be a stand up. And they're unsure. We're positive. We know who we are because we've been this way our entire life. So we don't need to defend anything. We just say, oh, okay, you one of them types. And we write you off because the average person is not walking around to see if somebody's tough enough. By especially as a minority male in this country, if you reach 50, like David said, we know you tough enough. You don't need to prove anything to anybody else except some Neanderthal. And at that particular point, you want to leave that person alone. Because if that person is willing to try and challenge you, then they don't value anything. We've gotten to this point where we have people that depend on us. We have people that value us being around. We value being around. And that is the greatest thing that a lot of people don't understand about black men our age. It's like, hey, look, we ran the goddamn gauntlet. We ran the gauntlet of coming out of the civil rights movement. Some of us ran the gauntlet of police brutality. Some of us ran the gauntlet of not getting caught up in drugs, alcohol, not having a criminal record, getting through corporate America. That's a gauntlet. We don't need to prove anything to anybody else. So we just keep living. We keep living a good life. And you know what? And when we get to the point where we can retire, and like David said, we can travel, we can look back and say, shh, I'm the motherfucking man. I did it. get in my boots on, laced up. Now you know what? It's time to take these boots off. Put on some, as the young people say, put on some sliders, or take my sliders off and put my feet in some warm sand at the beach with a nice beverage of my choice, and just enjoy the sunset. Maybe with a nice lady on my arm so I can play a record later. But I mean, honestly, that's what it is. That's what we're looking forward to now because we're David's certainly in that mode, and I'm getting to that mode. You know, we're talking about retirement, so we're trying to plan our lives as if we don't need corporate America. We just need what corporate America provides.
For sure. For sure. It's like I'm not trying to shout out to Derek Hall, Papa's son, Derek Hall, who always talk about no limits. You know, said no limits. One of his slogans, like said no limits. Like, shit, ain't nobody got to tell me just because you know you speak to a financial advisor and they say, oh, you need to work this amount of years, you need to do that. Nah, I ain't got to do that. I can be a trailblazer, get what I can get from retirement here, but I also got another plan to make this money. So the hell with that philosophy, because that's what brings you stress. Worried about
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
worried about figures and all of that. It depends on how I'm gonna go in my mental health, in my physical health, that I can say, shit, I'm bringing in 15,000 a month, and I ain't never made that in all the years, and I'm making that uh, after the
Mhm.
fact. Uh, so it depends on your state, your condition. A lot of it has, you know, everything we covered, habits and routines, your self care, goals you want to set for yourself, and you just gotta be ready to go. And don't sleep on the fact that the counselor's corner is going to be on once I get out of the school thing. Oh, views gonna hike up because you don't know what's gonna come out my damn. I've been holding back. And I remember one time one of the like deputy superintendents said, one of my principals said, Mr. Glover, he's kind of quiet. He said, no, man. He said, quiet people got a lot to say. I got a lot to say. I got a lot to say. It pretty much been keeping everything under leash and under respect, but it's time to let some things out. It's time to set some fires. It hey, for some of you who say, "Damn, I wanted to join. I wanted to come on y'all thing and talk, whatever. I wanted to join the panel." We don't say, "Man, you should have been there." We was putting stuff out there because
Yeah.
I got so much to say. Greg said, "Dave,
That's an interesting question. Yeah, I'll let you read it.
what you have accomplished, what you have done, if you had been taught from childhood that you were being oppressed and had no chance." Uh, I don't. I don't think I ever viewed that I had no chance. I looked at the condition of my family, and I looked what my mother, my aunts, my grandparents did. That I always felt I had a chance. Long as I had support, I had a chance. So I never fought, believed in no narrative or whatever, because the only thing I could look at it was what in front of me, what I seen every day, and I know they fought, they struggled to try to make sure that me and my siblings had a better life. So I never got caught up into that false hope that like I don't have a chance. So I always knew, long as you got support and you got people in your corner, you got a chance. Not maybe for everything you want to do, but you got a chance for something. And that's all we need.
You know
Because
what?
again, little things lead to big things.
That's an excellent um, question that we can expand on in an entire episode because I think that mindset is more prevalent with certain generations than it was ours. Because even me growing up impoverished and in foster homes, that was never ever a thought or a lesson. The lesson was you go to school, you get good grades, whatever you want to be, you can. Absolutely. Ooh, he's asking some hard. That you know what, Greg? I'll send you something after we get off of the podcast that speaks specifically to that. I know I said I was gonna do it last week. I got caught up in doing a bunch of stuff this week.
Well, I'm not going to take it because we already know that. Like I said, and when I did the promo, I said it's a lot to cover, and it's a
Yeah.
lot for everybody to think about. When you think about like, damn, you got 6 months, because the truth of the matter is, shit, we trying to make sure we get extended and live that next 6 months.
Yeah.
Uh, but you have to do it with like Herb said, less stress. Uh, making sure your mental is right. Making sure you connect it with the right people, and making sure you're not taking too much of a burden on yourself. Some of us
Hmm.
try to be Superman or super women and trying to be the savior for every situation. Can't do that because younger generations, they, they want to put everything on their parents without them considering, like, damn, I'm causing harm and wear and tear on them. And remember, you treat yourself like a vehicle. You only can do so much. And a lot of times when you're trying to do stuff for yourself, you're doing stuff for your kids, you're doing stuff for grandkids. That's wear and tear.
Yes.
That's wear and tear on you. And how cars and other things go dead, and that's the end.
Yeah.
The human body could do that too. When your brain is always rattling and you got too much going on. So be mindful of that. Some people don't have that mindset. They don't care. Like, well, my mom got it. My dad got it. I'm gonna stress them the hell out
I gotta
until they
cut
go.
out. I will see y'all next week.
What'd you say?
I said I gotta cut out. I will see you guys all next week.
All right, be safe, man. So we go close it out. So just remember, be mindful of things you put on the other individuals because it's real out here, and you got to think about others. So just because you have a lot of complications on your life, you don't want to always put that on others, even though they might be willing to take it. But you got to also understand their age, their condition, and some of the circumstances that they're going through. So again, like I said before, this is a lot. It's heavy. It's a lot. But as we look at closing out 2025, we got a lot to think about going into 2026. So let's close out these last 6 months with trying to be the best that we can be. Uh, so with that said, I'm out. On to the next one. We'll see y'all next week, and we'll pick back up with relationships, personal growth, time management, financial progress, and mindset and attitude. Told y'all this ain't light work. This ain't crazy work. This ain't easy work. It's work. It's hard work. So everybody be safe, be great, and always pay attention to your surroundings. Because again, the weather's breaking, people getting crazy, people are not on your mental level, So you just never know. So just stay cautious and always try to surround yourself with good people that you can kind of form a nucleus with. All right, I'm out. On to the next one. We'll see you next time. Peace.